BTS's Jungkook makes a scene. Just returned from America, directly meets Suga secretly. What exactly happened? No one expected that the day would be a turning point that shook not only the army, but the Korean entertainment industry as a whole. While media cameras were still waiting for news of Jungkook's return from his long tour of the United States, without any official statement from HYB labels, the world was shocked by leaked images showing Jungkook getting out of a mysterious black car, heading to a place known only to those in BTS's inner circle, Suga's private studio. What makes this meeting so astonishing? Why did Jungkook, who is known to be a perfectionist and takes great care of his public appearances, suddenly appear in the middle of the night without an official escort, without a scheduled press conference, even without a statement from HYB? Moreover, the intended location is not Big Hit's main building, nor his own house, but Suga's personal studio, which has been touted as an escape room when one of the members wants to be alone from the outside world. Sources in the mention that the meeting was not just a close reunion between two old friends. It is said that a loud noise was heard from inside the studio moments after Jungkook's arrival. Staff who used to work downstairs said they heard an unusual, emotional squabble, a high-pitched voice thought to come from Jungkook, as well as a long silence from Suga's side, as if holding back. Is this a sign that something is cracking in BTS's body? Or is it just part of an effort to unify the vision that has been kept secret from the public? Why did HYB choose to remain silent even though the media began to speculate wildly? Are there any internal conflicts that have been tightly hidden behind their smiles on stage? In the usual Seoul night silence, no one expected that a dark car would simply stop in the Hanam-dong area. A man in a black hat and wearing an oversized hoodie stepped quickly toward the old studio building that Suga had run since 2020. But for true BTS fans, the figure is unlikely to be misidentified. His gait, his posture, and even his quick but careful movements when opening the studio door belong to only one person, Jungkook. The question then quickly rolls in. Why did Jungkook come quietly, after so long not being seen with the other members in person? And more than that, why did he choose to meet Suga directly, without stopping by the HYB building, without greeting ARMY, without even a single upload on his social media? One thing is for sure, this is no ordinary meeting. Since BTS was announced to be undergoing solo promotions, a lot of speculation has sprung up. While HYB insists that this is part of a phase of developing individuality and artistic growth, there are still quiet voices behind the scenes that indicate internal tension. Suga, who has been known as the most calm and analytical person in BTS, has chosen to be alone more often since his last D-Day concert. He hasn't been active on Weverse for weeks, even as his birthday only replies to a few messages with a single emoji. On the other hand, Jungkook, who started his solo career with major international projects and made many appearances on American programs, looks more tired than usual in the latest airport photos that a person from the recording industry who did not want to be named said. They are both geniuses. But sometimes the two poles of genius, if they don't understand each other, can explode at any time. And I think that's what's going on. What exactly happened? Is there a difference in artistic views? Does Suga disagree with Jungkook's international move? Or is Jungkook disappointed by Suga's decision to seem alienated from the group dynamics? One of the sources who worked as a sound engineer at the studio revealed that it was not an ordinary night. There was a sound of the door slamming. Then Jungkook's voice was very clear. He shouted, "I can't keep quiet like this, Hyung." And after that, she was heard crying. Suga's voice was barely audible. "It seems like he's just listening," said the source. This statement provoked various speculations. Has Jungkook been hiding something? Could there be a big decision to be announced? Something that could change BTS's direction forever. Some fans who are known for scrupulously reading the hidden codes in BTS's work began to associate this emotional encounter with their latest lyrics. In Jungkook's solo song Standing Next to You, PT2, there is one stanza that has now gone viral among the ARMY. "You said silence is peace, but it's killing me slowly." Is this a veiled message to someone who chooses silence when there is a conflict that needs to be resolved? And in one of Suga's last songs produced without much promotion, the lyrics are heard. "I made a distance not to go, but to breathe." These words now sound like code. A long, silent conversation between two best friends who cannot touch each other, even if they are only a few steps away. Interestingly, when news of Jungkook and Suga's emotional meeting began to spread, HYB did not issue a single official statement. Even as a number of major Korean media outlets tried to confirm this information, the only response given was, "We cannot comment on the artist's personal activities." This only increased public suspicion. Fans felt that HYB was hiding something bigger than she could see on the surface. If this is just an ordinary reunion, why shouldn't it be made public? If they are talking normally, why do they have to be silent? There's something strange here. An army member wrote on the DC Inside forum. The circulating theory is divided into two large polls. The former described the meeting as the beginning of the end, when Jungkook and Suga could no longer hide their differences. However, the second poll said that this is precisely the most important moment that shows how deep their relationship is. Why would someone come straight from abroad, jet lag, midnight, to someone's studio, if not because their heart is already too full? Wrote one fan on Twitter/X. This is not the end. It's a start. Something? Is this a form of emotional support? Or more than that, a form of loyalty that no longer relies on the BTS name, but on brotherhood outside the industry? This article will continue to be updated as the news develops. Whatever happened that night, Jungkook and Suga showed the world that there is something bigger than fame, deeper than music, and more meaningful than a comeback, that human connection, honesty, and the courage to rediscover each other. Even in the silence of an old tavern in a corner of the city not on the tourist map, that night the sky in Gunpo was washed by light rain. The light of street lamps refracts over puddles, forming shadows that merge with the night. In a quiet little corner, only the silhouettes of two figures sitting opposite each other were visible. One of them lowered his head, while the other grasped the cup with a slightly trembling hand. Fan cameras didn't capture their voices, but the image was enough to make the hearts of millions of ARMY feel squeezed. An unusual meeting. Not under the spotlight of the stage, not among the cheers of fans, but in the dense silence, where every word may be heavier than the burden of popularity that they have carried over the years. Time seemed to stop. And in that silence, netizens began to put together pieces of the puzzle. What really happened behind this sudden meeting? Why didn't Jungkook choose Jin or RM or Jimin as his main destination when he returned home? Why not family? Why Suga? Some fans who have followed BTS's journey since the debut era remember one moment that now seems to be a sign. The moment in which Suga, in one of his radio interviews in 2016, said softly that the only member who made him feel like seeing his younger version was Jungkook. He's still very young, but he's shouldered so much. Sometimes I want to tell him not to be so hard on himself, Suga said at the time. Who would have thought, years later, the Magne would return looking for him, not as a younger brother, but as a grown man who might be broken.